Dean,
What's up, man? We're making this happen.
we are finally making this happen. So we just jump right into it. So here we go. On our channel, we are constantly on the pursuit of delivering to the COACHMC studio community always kind of different creative tools to kind of dive into different pockets of creativity, like I always say, because I think we are so fortunate in having this craft. But some people tend to narrow down the streams of creativity they can let into their systems, and by doing so they kind of suppress so much life and so much beauty that could potentially come out of their performance. So for the first show, we chatted for 2 episodes straight with my man Will Roberts, who's out of California. He's a self-taught actor, he's a cowboy, he's a rodeo driver, he does all sorts of things. He's a magician, a card trick player.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. Like
Yeah.
Guinness Book record holder of many things. Then we jumped to acting with Kira on the last episode, who is a British taught actress, like more classical approach,
Right.
experience, and beautiful insights we kind of drained out of there too. And now we're jumping deep into the South.
Yeah.
I love the South of the United States. It's beautiful. So I'm really grateful for having you on the show, because your aspect to creativity and your take on acting, again, comes from a different angle and has very interesting ideas. And I wanted to share those with my community. And it's also great you're accepting me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So absolutely. So I'm really pumped you're on the show. So welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Sure.
Yeah. So my training is interesting. So I started my training in Louisiana, really early, doing more like theater kind of things. So I grew up Catholic, and I used to actually teach catechism at some point, which my students are like, "You did what?" Because getting to know me and reading my stuff now, you clearly know that I'm not Catholic. But doing what I did in the church allowed me to kind of get that creative juices flowing. I started writing stuff and doing my own little plays and skits and little videos and all kinds of stuff like that. So when I moved to Los Angeles, which is where I started most of my actual formal training, I trained with a guy named Aaron Spicer, the brilliant man.
What was his take? Certain methods? What was
he comes from an Uta Hagen background.
Sure.
So, I started with the basic 12 techniques, came from that world. And what hit me more than the technical training that I got from Aaron was the challenges of just human behavior. So, watching scenes and jumping into these different characters, we obviously have to allow ourselves to one, put ourselves in a whole nother light and go, okay, well, they believe completely opposite things than what I do. So I don't feel like I can do this truthfully because I don't believe that. Right. So there's that on off switch there.
Right.
And the more he would challenge me, the deeper I would go. So eventually, I always say I kind of pulled out of Catholicism and religion, and I dove into acting. Not saying you can't do both, obviously.
No. It's right. We're gonna jump in that.
So I dove into acting, and then acting kind of drove me into understanding behavior, which helped me dive in kind of the spiritual aspect, which then drove me into the science aspect, then circled me back around to understanding how religion played a part in it. So
totally makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. And I appreciate what I got, from my Catholic roots.
Sure.
It introduced me to that source, that power, that connection that we have, right?
Unique feel in a way.
Right. And I would also say that, I feel like that was my first source of getting to be in the moment was understanding it from a Catholic point of view, only because when you would pray or talk with people, part of the work was kind of letting down that wall, right? Allowing yourself to have an open conversation about something that everyone is so personal about, religion and spirituality. And it always drives me back to a youth minister that I had that was like my best friend growing up. And he was, probably 10 years older than me, but was just such insightful and connective, and was always, if he talked to you, you felt his soul.
I can see what you mean, yeah. What was his name?
Mitch Seymour, and he's actually a priest now in New Orleans, and we don't catch up very often, but we'll have to. And that connection that he had with me when we would just have a conversation, I was like, wow.
I can totally
Like,
see that. Yeah. I grew up in
those.
Sicily. Yeah. And Sicily has still that deep seated belief, right? Church
Sure.
is omnipresent, and also in some ways, I can tell from a personal experience, also helpful. Like in the smaller communities, church can do some good things. And if it's run by the right people, it's kind of, and so, yeah, like you grew up with that idea, right? With that very kind of very mighty idea of that patriarch, of that very strong and very knowing, very present being.
I would say boxed in a little, though.
Yeah.
Right?
You get boxed into these systems, and once I've learned that we all use systems to communicate, to kind of propel our agendas, to kind of have metaphors for things that happen in our life that we see from the universe, that we sort of, we need some
makes sense.
But then again, when it comes to creativity, everything that is not useful, everything that is making you static, it's making you more vulnerable also, but not from a positive,
not a negative point. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So you really have to, like you did, I guess, like let go of things, explore new things, put them in your system, accomplish them, accommodate them into your system. And then when you're mature enough, once you've realized, okay, he didn't want me no harm. It wasn't all about, that indoctrination. There were some good aspects of it that I can now see and I can now use, and that makes the whole picture, I think, more stable then.
And like I kind of look at religion like now, my outlook towards religion, and it's not a negative outsource towards religion. My aspect towards religion is more like, I kind of explain it this way. So spirituality is my experience and connection to that source, that God, that whatever you want to call it. I can care less what you call it, right? It's all the same thing.
Right.
we can fight wars over it, but at the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same person or thing or entity or whatever you want to call it. So I always say, like, that's spirituality for me. It is my personal connection with that source and my understanding of it. And then to me, religion becomes more of someone else's understanding that they put into the correct terms and boxes, and then said, I want you to follow the way I did it because this is the way it works. But you don't know me, So for me, religion becomes.
I'm sorry, I have to jump on to that because I think it's heavily intertwined with acting. I do sometimes have some problems with psychoanalysis. I mean, there are 2-3 books that are dominating when it comes down to the educational way of how we see and how we perceive the subconscious in every human being. But we're 7 billion, almost 8 billion people. We all work in a different way. We all have different and diverse attachments to that universal source field. So one book can predict and judge how everybody else is working. I find that very hard kind of to...
Yeah. Well, and then, we're not going to go into this episode, but to try to explain how many times that good book has been rewritten.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, that's a whole nother. That's a few other weeks, right? We don't have time for that.
No, but I think it could be valuable to our community, since like you said, science, spirituality, religion, in a way they all start from different corners. But if you follow through, if you jump in each and every one of those rabbit holes, actually you get to one source code, to one tabernacle.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of the thing. Like, I think the further science continues going, the more we are justifying what our ancient spiritualities have pretty much known on a different level for so long. So kind of religion.
Tap into that. How did you come up? Because with me, it was kind of crazy.
It kind of just bam, right.
Of everything. So how did...
So I went from religion to acting, then acting to spirituality. So basically my coach would always kind of push me into like, okay, if this character is, let's say Buddhist, well then, your work is to understand it from their point of view. Like, you need to go fall in love with that thing. The same as if I'm going to play a cop, I want to go meet a cop. I want to hang out with a cop. I want to do the right or wrongs. I want to do what I can to physically and or emotionally allow this stuff to be mine to some level. Right. So the same as I kept kind of questioning and I think it kind of happened. I went through all of that to finally kind of hit that downslope, which I think is where everyone gets to at some point. We all have that question. What
Right.
am I? Why the hell am I here? What the
Right.
fuck is all this?
Right.
And then we hit that wall of like, it's worthless. This is all pointless.
Mhm.
We're just, you know,
Sure.
we're
I
just
think we need
another
that. Right.
amoeba that's
Yeah.
affecting each other some way, right? And I think that that downslope is kind of a thing that most people hit, or it's just a, obviously not everyone goes that route, but I think that when you hit that bottom ground of having, you know, they say it's, if you fall on your back, you can see to get up. And I always felt like if I hit rock bottom, well
Mhm.
then great. I have no further to go. This shit can't get worse.
Right.
So why not start questioning even further? So that questioning that he's kind of put into my heart allowed me to continue diving. And the more I realized every one of these, I mean, the only thing different between every one of these religions is where you were born.
Isn't that funny? What?
And
But
now
then, right.
we're killing, right? So
Mhm.
that kind of drove me into it, and then drove me back around to the arts, because I think after that rock bottom, I allowed myself to just let go. And I think that letting go is what opened me up to accepting and feeling and going back to that emotional reality that I had going
And
on.
how do you share that with your clients? How can you help them to convince themselves to do just that?
I find it's a process. Like, you know, the first time you sit in a class of mine, I won't have you bring sides. I won't have you do anything. There's a class of people. There's a chair in front. I say, take the seat.
Mm-hmm.
I let you take the seat. And most of the time people sit there going,
And now,
what do you want me to do? Should I, do you want me to do something?
but
Just sit there for a second.
right.
Okay. Well, do you want to, like, no, just breathe.
So good.
No. Just breathe normal. Just breathe, right. So just allowing yourself to connect. I mean, you know, it's
That's pretty
2020.
powerful. I like that. Mm-hmm.
We're on these cell phones
Yes.
so often
Yes.
that, you know, do you find that the first time you usually sit and talk with a new student that it's even hard for them to connect to you with their eyes? Automatically they pull away, and it's like there's this uncomfort there.
What I'm doing now with younger clients, we don't, like, the first session that we have is not even a real session. I call it the smartphone eliminator session.
Yeah.
Before we even get down to business, I let them eliminate the smartphone out of their system. We do some sense work, we do some body work, relaxation work, because studies have shown and have proved that our thumb is getting back to its primordial position, which is hurting our back, which is hunching our spinal cord, which is giving us a complete wrong posture, which is absolutely that, which is so bad for actors because they need to open up. Of course, they can, of course,
That solar plexus.
and, right, but first they need to open up. And with younger clients, we started doing that, and it's kind of effective because
That's awesome.
they have to realize it. You know, some
Do they put it outside the room? Do you have them leave it outside the room?
leave it outside the room, turn it off.
Yeah, there was a study shown where they basically took like two separate sets of classes, and some of them they could have their phone in the room, but they couldn't touch it. And then the other ones just couldn't have it in the room. And I think it was ACT test or something they were doing.
Yeah.
But all the ones that had it next to them were so ADD, because even though they even flipped down.
Right. Because you have so much time. It's genius.
It's connected. I can be in another room and feel the vibration going, oh, my phone's going off.
My phone is
in another room. And I'm like,
I know.
How do I know that?
Right. You have to eliminate that thing out of your system before you get down to business. And but then, like coming back to what you said, you were from religion to spirituality back to acting. Was it like a natural process to kind of implement all those various
the two together?
Right.
Yes and no. So I felt like, obviously from Aaron, my training was there. You know, I was booking. I wasn't having an issue with anything, and I hadn't really made that connection just yet. I hadn't found that next level of going, oh wow, okay, all this stuff does this so quickly and so easily. Because obviously, until you let yourself go to that point of view, you can't see that this does this.
Sure.
Right. And of course, I think we all have that moment where you're in class or somewhere doing a scene and you finish. And my coach, this was exactly what he did to me. He goes, wow, Dean, I gotta be honest, you are probably one of the best actors I have. And I sat there for a second, because he's a bit of a smart ass. I'm like, What does that mean, Aaron? What exactly do you mean by that? He goes, no, I mean it. You're probably one of the best actors I have. No one has made it this far in my classes to an advanced class, still being able to act and get away with it. I didn't know until I just figured out that you're still acting, and I didn't know. And I was like, motherfucker, that was a backhanded compliment. And I appreciate it because I get it. Okay, gotcha. And then for whatever reason, the next time I did a scene, I was like, balls to the wall. Who cares? This goes well, this goes wrong. Who cares? You know, the level of fear was just like, whatever, out the door. And of course you finish that scene and it goes, okay, you found something, you connected to something. What was it?
That's funny.
I don't remember anything, right? You don't remember anything from that first scene. You're like, I don't know. Where did I go? And to a level in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, I literally was here, but not here. There was some other thing going on. And, you know, it's funny because we work as actors to be able to be in the moment, right?
Right.
So that we can be human.
Right.
However, majority of humans are completely out of the moment and ran by their worries, their thoughts, their fears constantly. So are we really working to be in the moment, or are we working to create this foundation of correct fears, worries, and circumstances that control that constant keeping us out of the moment? Right. So yes, we're in the moment, but we're not really. We're in a whole nother thing.
It's another island. And I pretty much say the same thing. It's this is a beautiful business because you get paid to escape. You can just escape, just open up, plunge into someone else and be there and explore everything that you can.
Explore.
Just make those beautiful discoveries. Don't be afraid of them and take that risk to kind of leap into dark waters, because you know what's the worst thing that could happen? That you're experiencing something new, that you're kind of.
And I think that right there, that allowing yourself to be, and that's why I think it's so important the type of coach that you work with, not in a, you know, some are better than others kind of thing. They are, but that's not what I'm talking about. I think some allow you to go there. Like my number one rule is, so can we cuss? Are you good with all this F-bombs? Good, because I F-bomb like crazy. My rule is like, fuck this, royally fuck this scene up. Do the scene the shittiest version you can do, make it horrible,
right?
But fuck it up, because get that shit out of the way, right? And as soon as someone allows you to go, oh, I don't have to do this perfect, because there's no perfect, right? Every scene, there's no perfect.
Perfect is boring. Perfect is
oh my god, yeah.
Perfect is unnecessary.
And that's the thing. Like as soon as you let go of thinking that you're gonna make this scene perfect, like the script said. Fuck the script. They wrote it so that you could make it better, not so you could do it exactly what they gave you.
It's the job where you get paid to break the rules. So goddamn it, break the rules.
Right? And that's where that glory comes from.
Do you think the casting director gives you a shot because you were playing according to the rules, because you were so accommodating and so nice about everything? He gives you that shot because he thinks, wow, that's a maverick right there. He wants something badly, right? Yep. Okay, he maybe crossed some borders, but that was interesting.
Yeah, I usually say like when you're going to the audition, it's like, are you really going there to show them what you do? Are you going there to book something? Are you going there to plead for something? Why are you going there? And if you're going there as an actor, just heads up, no one wants to hire you. Nobody wants to hire an actor. So stop being an actor and go as the human being that you are. When they can connect to you, all of a sudden the doors start opening, because they get that truthful experience as well.
They get involved once you get involved. If you are playing it safe on this illusionary parquet with actually, you don't actually have anything to do with it. You just place it there nicely and neat. You can control everything. Oh, I'm not part of this. Oh, this feels so good. Yeah, but it's also very boring.
Oh, yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, if it's complicated, if it goes against, certain rules of yours or certain ethical aspects, like you said in the beginning, sometimes my character, my role is mean or completely different in the way he thinks, or he has some aspects about his character that I can't really relate to. Or religion is a big thing also for characters. So maybe also a good advice that we could give to newbies, you know, listening to this conversation, but also to some seasoned actors that, you know, just
I would say that too.
Right, just take it in. Absolutely, go with it.
Well, and I think, like, you know, I was known as a few things in the South. One, that weird coach. Two, that coach that says you don't have to. The weird coach. It was the South. When I first moved back, I was writing just a little blog, just informative, right? Because I'd been in LA for almost 8-9 years at that point, and then when I moved back, I wasn't planning on coaching, so I just kind of was doing a blog. I was coaching there, but I didn't have a studio or doing all that.
Right.
And I started writing things here that were kind of just, I mean, what I thought were standard, you know, information, how to find a good headshot photographer, how to find the coach that you like, you know, just things like that, what your agent should be doing, how they should be paying you, where your money should be going, how it should be coming out, blah, blah, blah. Just random industry standard stuff. I started getting emails from agents and casting directors and other coaches saying you can't tell people that. One, who the hell are you? Second, I can't tell people the truth. Go scam somewhere else. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, so there's so much stuff out there, and I thought it was funny. So I was known as the weird coach and the guy that didn't really care if you knew your lines. Because my thing is, right? I don't know. And my thing was like, yes, I want you to know your lines, but I am not worried about you knowing your lines. Anybody can go memorize lines. Are you giving me truthful behavior? Are you truthfully involved? Or as I say, have you turned enough give a fucks up that you're involved? Because if you don't give a fuck, get out. Why are you doing this? No one wants to see an actor not giving a fuck about a scene that they're doing. I want to see a human that gives a fuck about what they want.
Wow, that very powerful indeed. And I think
it's all the F-bomb. Sorry.
No. Truth needs to be, you know, James Jamerson Jr., greatest bass player of all times. He was part of the Funk Brother original band who kind of founded Motown and made soul music big in the whole wide world. And he said, if you ain't got the dirt, you ain't got the funk. If you ain't got the funk, nobody's paying attention. So you better keep some dirt in your play because the dirt keeps the funk. That's so,
I reference jazz and funk so often.
I like the South of the United States a lot. I think this is also a way that where your spiritual kind of vein comes from, because the South is way more mystical. It is the South has a very kind of mythological aspect, like voodoo and, you know, all the connections to the Caribbean and
a plethora of so many different, you know, ways of worship came here.
Exactly, like spirituality from so many different angles, so many practitioners of different ways of perceiving this metaphysical presence that is ever present. So it's beautiful. And I think this is also the reason I was so heavily interested in talking to you, because again, I'm also we kind of share the same background. I also was always the strange coach, the rebel coach, the weird coach, the crazy coach, right?
Yeah.
In Rome, we kind of turned the whole city upside down because coaching wasn't an experience before we kind of appeared on the scene. It was way of like a very technical, right? You have to do it like this, and then you have to do it like this, and then, you know, older people, and that's okay. That's legitimate. It was the old teachings, but we kind of revolutionized certain things and brought also social media more heavily into the game. And now we're getting that response because when you have the chance to work over years with a certain client, and he kind of absorbs more and more and puts it into practice and action, and he realizes that it works, that it's powerful, then of course he talks about it. So the impact becomes bigger and bigger. And that's beautiful about doing it in a way that is so genuine. Like you were saying, like, I don't give a fuck. Just be yourself. I don't want you to superimpose my intellect, my teachings, my method. I want you to be free. I always say I'm the coach that wants his client the fastest out of the door again. We could charge way more. We could make way more money. We want them to be self-sustainable organisms that enjoy their lives and their performances.
And I don't want you to have to get on set and go, oh God, I need a coach. right? If you're on set, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
You should live. Right.
Hopefully I've given you enough that you can take it from there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do on-site coaching and all, but
Right.
at the end of the day, I'd rather people can't afford to pay for me every time they work on something. Some do, and I appreciate it, and they totally gain from it. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I have to give you tools that you can do your own. It's funny, as you were saying, one of my other little exercises I'll do in class is called "Fuck You, Dean." So I will let you do your scene
with Lorenzo.
Try it. So I'll let you do your scene, right? And then we'll start talking about it. And you're like, well, I was doing blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, why'd you do that? And in my head, I can tell they're thinking, I thought you would like it that way.
Right.
So I'll say, did you do that thinking that's what I wanted? Like, were you thinking that would please me if you did it the way you did it? Well, no, but I mean, well, a little maybe. Like, okay, cool. Stand up. This exercise is called "Fuck You, Dean," and I want you to say that until you don't give a shit what I think, because you're not doing this for me. If you're doing it for me, the director, the casting director, the producer, anybody else, that's not real. That's acting.
That's beautiful. I'm going to use that too, man.
Please do. Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm here to spread shit, man. Do what you take it what you can.
I heard from a lot of actors that have worked with David Fincher that he kind of approaches the shooting procedure and process in a very similar way. He lets them act the scene so many times. He lets them act out every action so many times, till a little bit like Kubrick did with Kirk Douglas and Spartacus. So many times, but till they are exhausted, till there is no acting in their system anymore.
Yeah.
Till they're finally just themselves and kind of, tired, depressed, frustrated, whatever. But everything is real and rugged and raw, and there is no filter or no layer of, hey, that's me interpreting something in a beautiful manner. Can you hear
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I always say that too. You'll finish like, great, cool. So that was a wonderful soap opera scene. Can we take whoever's voice you borrowed and give it back to them?
Right.
I mean, think about it. When you speak from your resonance, right? Everything you say resonates. Everything you say feels real already.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if I switch my voice toward the character, and don't get me wrong, later I do it all the time now, but if you start off with trying to character yourself,
sure,
you're not tapping into your truth. You're tapping into characters and mimicking. And there's some wonderful stuff that comes from that. But at the end of the day, as soon as you start using that other voice, because that's how we would talk now. Right. No, you wouldn't. Who the fuck? Nobody talks like that. No one talks like that. Stop it. And then you tap into have you ever did the Ho'oponopono prayer in class?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yes.
I love you. Thank you. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I will sometimes start a workshop off with that, face-to-face, a line of students, one at a time, back and forth to each other. And you'll finish it, and I'll go to your partner and go, did you believe them?
That's very cool. Yeah.
Good. Let's do it again.
Right.
Drop that voice crap.
Right.
Connect to the human being in front of you.
But I think, what we're talking about is the problem that we kind of also have with the system is the system wants you to be distracted all the time, and the system doesn't want you to find your tone, your frequency, right sound. So what I also like to do with some of the younger clients, but also with some seasoned ones, is I like to go to churches, to ancient Gothic churches with them. And just, look at the window, look how everything is manifold, look at all the colors, the patterns, how everything is rhythmically arranged, even though it's architecture. That's you. You are architecture. But this is frozen architecture. You are living architecture. So what you need to do is to transform those frequencies into the right wave patterns that belong to you. And if you do it in such a way that you really are resonating with your core or mask message, then you will see you don't need no superimposed force, and it's way more relaxed. You need way less force to have a way greater impact. That's I also like to kind of do some, study, scene study. I love to do those on cemeteries as well, because people get weird on cemeteries. What the fuck are we doing here? It's like, I want you to be uncomfortable and not to sit in your chair and just talk, because our talkings that we do is based on 70% of thoughts that we had yesterday. We are recycling all old thoughts all the time, which is pretty dangerous, by the way. So we kind of should reflect on how to eliminate those old thoughts and not hanging on to old, feelings and emotions that kind of hook us to energy patterns that are just not useful to us.
Sure.
We should get rid of the old thoughts. We should say new things, explore constantly something that is unpredictable to ourselves. But by doing so, our reptilian center gets switched off. So all the information kind of rushes in without nobody truncating the information. So like the core message of things finally gets through to you, and that's, I think, what you're talking about. Like just be that behavior.
And so for me, like, I try not to even, I hate using the term sometimes when I'm talking to students, because I think obviously it has all of its connotations connected with when I say character, right? Automatically it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. You don't need to lose an eye. Versus like when I have a conversation, our first period of time that we're working, it's really, again, like you were saying, it's all self-exploration, right?
Take us in. Give us a little insight of how you usually would kind of.
So I'll start with going, and let's just do the exercise. So, and you'll probably catch this a lot faster, but who are you?
I'm a creator.
That's great. Is that physical? Is that energetic? What does that mean?
That's energetic in its origin and physical in the expression.
Okay. So would you, if you had to explain yourself to someone, you would just say, I'm a creator?
I'm a creator of great entertainment.
Okay. And do you believe that you are the creator or you are the creation?
I'm actually the conduit, but since I give a face and a shape to the original information, you could say that I'm a co-creator.
All right. We're both a little advanced, and this is not going to work on you.
Too much.
But my point is, you're doing great. You're doing great. So when I usually start, it's I'm Dean West. Okay, cool. We got your name. So who are you? I'm a doctor. Okay, great. That's what you do. Who are you? I'm a guy. Okay, great. Who are you? I'm my skin. Okay, that changes all day. So who are you? I'm my bones. Okay. Every 7 years, new cells switched out. Who are you? I'm my thoughts. Are you? Do you think the same since you were a kid? Okay. No, I am. Oh, stop right there. Say it again. I am. Good. Leave it blank. Nice. If you can start with that I am, right? If you can find that source that you are, that awareness that I am connected. And again, like you said, I'm just the conduit. I'm just this connection of a new source experiencing this cray-cray with this current source, right? So once we can get to that, then I can also help you understand that you don't need the characters. And there is a tad bit of an escape once you're in it, but not really, because you're not escaping, right? We're really going deeper. I don't care what character you play. I don't care if it's a child molester or a killer. It's you. It's in you now. It's there. You just haven't went, cool, hey man, you can come out the closet. People aren't scared of you anymore. Right now, we're all just, no, put that motherfucker back where he's at. We don't want to meet him. He's freaky, and all of your 5 main friends over your past however many years have told you, keep that guy out of here. No one likes him. Don't be that way. We don't like that either. Please don't make that kind of joke. People don't like that either. So you're constantly, continually becoming what your friends want you to be,
right?
Versus finding that source. And I think if you put the right stipulations, anybody is a killer.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no reason to necessarily dive outside to find the character when reality is they're all there. You just haven't given them that light yet.
100%. I also say to people, stop saying, I have to think outside of the box. No, it's just if you think outside of the box, you can't imagine something that you don't know what it is. You don't know if it's there in the first place. So don't think outside of the box. Think at the corner of the box. Think
like that
edge of the box, because you're still part of the game, but you have a totally different angle, and you are special.
Sure.
You're holding a whole thing together, but you're not inside. So now you can start tinkering about a creative solution, how to get to that core.
Yeah.
That's
so I write and produce, and my producing partner, anytime we're working on something, pretty often he'll say something of that nature of like, like I'll pitch something and be like, yeah, but blah, blah, blah did that. I'm like, all right, first off, I'm not blah, 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 so it doesn't matter. Second of all, I get that whole let's create outside the box, but we know that this sells. We know that it has to have this. We know these tent poles have to be here, and we know this has to be here. If not, it's not going to work. We're not going to sell it, and we're just going to have a crap film. So why don't we understand the box and create brand new stuff within it, because there's plenty left, infinitely more left. So let's just start tapping into what those things are instead of going, we need to get outside the box, because you don't know what's out there. How do you know, right?
We are twins, I guess, because one of no, it's creepy but beautiful. One of our older videos is also acting on 3, and I believe in the force of the triangle. I think the triangular forces, once you kind of tapped into that and realize how the triangle is constructed, how you can use it even for acting purposes, and it always starts with I am in my lessons too. You know, I am, and that's Brahma. That's resonant. That's the first frequency, right? That's one of the codes that kind of unboxes life in itself. So once you start with that and you start to see, okay, I'm the base of this triangle that is filled with my intention. It needs to go to my relationship that I want to, I want to have a conversation, a conflict, whatever with right now in this scene, in this behavior, in this imagined life. So everything I need to do is to put everything I got into this triangle, make it work, make that force work, because I will get a reaction. If I do everything right, if I structure, like you said, everything in the right manner, and it has the right foundation to it, I will get a reaction. And once I get the reaction, right, there is Tao, and then there's Yin, there is Yang, and out of Yin and Yang, billions of possibilities we can derive from, billions possibilities will emerge. So once I get that reaction, the scene will start, your life will start.
And I think that's kind of the thing, right? So like built into that moment before, where most people just say, okay, my moment before, where was I, where am I, what I want, right?
Right.
And then their where was I was like, okay, well, I was just about to come into the room. Hold on.
Powerful. Yeah, we can do a lot with that information. Bravo. Right.
And then it's like, hold on. So you're telling me this human being that has all kinds of life. Let's start with this. When you came into my room, you sat down and complained about 5 minutes worth of bullshit.
Right.
But that character was just outside the room? Fuck. He must be bored as hell living in this life.
There is nothing happening in his life, I guess.
So I'm like, where does that really go? Because to me, if each scene has a different entity that we're really kind of, battling with at that point, depending on where we're at in the script, right? If I can take that moment before and where I was involves those things that were close enough to get reactive within the scene, right? That's where that triangle exists. Let me put those 3 things in place. My dad was an asshole. He was a drunk, and I dealt with this. And I really want the safety that I never got as a kid. Right?
Now so we got something specific you can work with.
Now you enter the room with life being lived and memories, right? And that's one of the things that I like to play with a lot is like, yes, I always say that the character work, the technical breakdown is intellectual. The rest of it,
it's passional, right? You got a rationalized process, and then you got the emotional process.
Yep.
And you have
it all becomes subconscious if you've done the work right. So in my story of the circumstances of, because in reality, like we were saying, the only thing difference between you and this character is what they've lived through during their life. There's nothing, you could be that. All you had to do was grow up the way they did. No difference. Same back with religion, right? So let's take those stories that you understand now is their circumstances and find the actual memories that you can allow yourself to live through mentally within inside of a little bit of a meditation, right? And that's why I love the meditation so much, because if I can get you to a point that you're like, woosah, let's let go a little bit, because now I can accept. I can't accept shit if my big square is full of so much of my own personal bullshit that I can't see past what you're giving me.
Square and triangle is a pretty powerful combination right there, by the way.
Love it. Love it. Because at the end of the day, right, this if you angle the triangle correctly inside that square, it's always going to be a different frequency. Different.
Bum.
And I think that's where those characters are at, right? We're just constantly tweaking.
That's why, sometimes I have clients I know have everything they actually need, but they're just afraid of admitting that they have millions of possibilities. They want the stability. They prefer to have a mediocre output, but not to go into those, not to dive into those chambers, not opening up all those doors. And sometimes, people just need the confidence that they can close those doors. If you do a very good prep, if you are right about yourself, if you know what you are all about, if you relax, like you say, like meditation, classical music, whatever it is that gives you that spiritual and inner comfort, you can open up as many doors as you want. Just make sure to kind of close them safely, keep the key with you, have it always close to you. So don't be afraid, explore those possibilities.
That's my last additive is like, okay, so when you get home, you take that motherfucker and put him back in the closet, because no one wants to meet him outside of set. They were right. He is an asshole. Put him back up.
Right.
And I think you're right.
It's said something very similar.
Say again?
Yeah, Daniel DeLewis, he said something quite similar. He said, I don't want that character to run around in real life.
No. And I think that, people, I love it when stars get a bad rap. It's like, oh no, I met him on blah, blah, blah. He was an asshole. You mean when he was playing an asshole?
Right. Maybe.
Kind of hard to judge him for that, right?
Maybe. I'm just saying.
He's playing a serial killer. I don't know that he was really worried about liking you that day.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. Like once we can allow ourselves to then tap in, and I think what you were saying is that the fear thing that rises in everyone, right? Because wait, you're saying I have to play a serial killer and I have to be okay with that? Well, that's really scary. I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about that. And sure, not everything we do in our work is fun. Let's get real.
Right.
There are days that you're going to be on set living over and over 20 to 30 different times of your mother passing away in a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
No one was sitting at home going, oh, I can't wait to be an actor and like watch my mom die.
20 times a day.
Nobody, from different points of view. No one said that, right?
And I'm sorry.
So it's for me, again, it comes back to a lot of times that religious basis where, old school religion taught from a fear basis, because fear is so powerful. And I understand that, but I feel like if I teach you from a fear basis, I am not only setting up the square, I'm putting the square inside of the square and locking off all the other stuff that you had access to. Or it's like it's like a champagne bottle. Like the cork is that fear that you were like, ooh, and all that good, tasty goodness is underneath. I will shake your shit until we can find something to make it go. And now it's out. Okay, now we can manage it. Now we can talk to it. Now we can befriend it. And if you're scared of those fears versus befriending those fears, then you have no access to it. No character you can ever play has any access to any other part of you besides the stuff you're okay with showing.
And plus, you have more control. Don't you realize if you question things, if you are specific about how you drill deep with your character about certain aspects that you might dislike, certain negative sides of his personality, you will get so much more acting potential out of the whole process. You realize probably something that you don't like for yourself and that you want to avoid in the future, which is basically also like a character building kind of tool right there for your own personality and your real life. But for your acting purposes, if you're doing the stuff that you are mostly afraid of, that will give you so much more tools for your future performances than anything that you will kind of have when you're just trying to play. You will need 100 safe performances in order to get that tool out of your system instead of just playing that one performance where you kind of dive into those waters. And that's the beauty about our business. Like you're saying, it's probably not the nicest thing to do the whole day, 20 different angles of seeing your mother die, but then isn't that what we want to give to people once they sit in the theater at a performance that has dignity and truth, and you want to be that person that inspires the audience. You don't want to be that bad actor that tries to play it safe and where you're saying, oh, I could have done it better, it's not believable and the scene is kind of ruined. So put in that. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you kind of, it's hard labor, of course. You get paid well, and you get a lot of recognition, but in the end you inspire also. So it's not something that you kind of just leave at the door. Once it kind of travels with circles and it stays. So it's really worth the sweat and the tears.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of, like one of the old sayings is, what you want is on the other side of fear. It's that, again, that self-exploration, going into those things that you are scared of, continually expanding and letting it come back, and expanding a little bit more and letting it come back. It's no different than what we do with our muscles when we go to a gym. We work it to expansion, and then we let them rest because they've had it and they couldn't take any more.
Right.
But now the next time you go, it's like, oh shit, I am throwing these weights around like I can go further.
Right.
It's the same. If, none of us by the age of probably 15 or 12 or 22 have actually lived enough life to bring what they think would happen if they were in this. I love when an actor tells me that. Well, if I were doing that, I would probably do it like this. How do you know? How do you know that? You're not there. You're not doing it. So how do you know that you would do it that way? I always like the example of like the theater shooting, and it's like, okay, so if you were at that theater, you would have ran that guy down and took him out, right? Oh yeah, liar. You would have peed your pants and dug under the seat as far as you could, but you don't know because you're not there.
Right.
So it's hard for us to take the actor POV of the script and go, well, I would do it this way, without letting yourself get in it. Because if you lock yourself into, I would do it this way, you just locked off every other thing possible. It's, again, back to spirituality. As soon as I name God, him, her, it, whatever, you literally just took God and, well, yeah, you were really big, but I'm just going to put you right here. You just took away so much power from that source that is infinitely crazy, and put it in a box and said, no, you can only be this. Well, you just took your power away.
It's it's kind of intriguing. I 3 years ago, I had a client, and he had to play this archbishop, and he was very good actor, very skilled, very experienced, very good actor, and classical theater approach, and Italian actor. And he was literally thinking about everything, like every tiny detail and aspect of this character, how he moves, how he sounds, what he's, what he did, backstory, and also like all of his moments. And once I said, you know what, let's go for a jog. Let's go jogging. And he said, what? Like, we're supposed to have a class. And I said, yeah, the class is jogging. Let's go for a fast walk. And then we kind of ran for a while, and then it's like, your archbishop is brilliant. He said, thanks. But why are we jogging? It's like, because he's also very boring. And he's like, why do you think that? Because he's not believing in God. You came up with so many wonderful solutions and actions and little moments, and it's all looking really good. You're very experienced. You can sell me pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But it's boring because he's still not believing. Making rougher, but making believable because he's believing in something. But I don't think that my character believes in God. Well, then play that conflict. That you are a freaking archbishop in Rome that is not believing in God anymore. Doesn't that give you way more acting potential than just having that controlled execution of wonderful ideas?
Yeah.
And then, he got the call, but he almost got the fire part. But he said that kind of revolutionized the way he was doing the audition afterwards, because now he believed in this conflict. At least he believed in something, and he was struggling with that, and that kind of flipped the whole performance.
Yeah, and I find that comes from kind of that basic theater version of training that I can take a theater actor and they can break down a character and a script like nobody's business, right?
Exactly.
And they can show you on paper the most brilliant thing you would ever see. Right. But when it comes to embodying it, they're still trying to make all of this happen instead of allowing that to happen. And I think that, without the allowing versus the forcing, because again, when you force something, you are pushing against, which means we're just doing this.
Right.
I'm not accepting to take in, I'm pushing away.
Right.
And like you were saying, if I can own the problem, if I can allow myself to actually go into the problem of I am this, but I don't know that I believe anymore. Well, now that conflict is within itself, and that's what all of us are. That is that yin yang that we're constantly fighting.
That's a great
You
metaphor.
just became whole. You
Yes.
just became the full yin yang instead of, well, I'm a little bit of yin, but I just want the tail of the yang. And
Right. And also a lot of clients, actors, they ask like, how can I do that if I have to, observe all the directions from my director? He told me many things to do in that scene. And then I have my prep, and I want to execute everything that I kind of preparated for this role. And how is it still possible that I'm natural and then I'm doing, of course it's exercise. No master has fallen from the sky. You have to exercise those things. Yeah, sure. You have to take into account what the casting director is telling you, even on the spot, like, modify a little bit, tweak here and there. And then, of course, you have to respect what you've prepared because you believe that those are the things that will, convince the audience. And those two things, they have to melt together. Those two worlds, they have to come together. And at a certain point, once you exercise it so many times, it's kind of a natural behavior. Okay, now I have to go there. The director told me to pick up the phone. Oh, now I found a reason to pick up the phone. That's interesting. Now I can do it way more relaxed. It's not a direction anymore. It's natural behavior. Now I can think about what I did in the prep. This fits even better. So the continuous exploration, discovery, what we said in the beginning, I think that's, and also accepting the contradictions of the character into your system, even if you don't have those contradictions, because, just face it, these are what life is made of contradictions, of things crashing against each other.
Yeah. When it's, when you go into the audition, our mind goes into the actor's mind of how can I book this? Mm-hmm. And when you're on set, it's how can I please him to get another part? It's always constantly, again, back to that, who do I have to whatever to get this role, right? So I knee pads.
I know you. I can see that.
Yeah, that's you. I'm kidding. That was horrible. So, I find that it's kind of like internal versus external. And it's like when you work on your first few films, it's going to probably be with a first-time director, and a first-time director will consistently give you an external direction versus you embodying the internal direction that forces the external outcome. And I think that's where we constantly find that screw up, because one, we've got action lines written in the script that we're like, oh, the tear, I need to get that one tear on this part, versus what is the internal aspect that is causing this issues? What are the problems that are getting there? Because if you take the external direction and try to live up to it, well, then you're automatically on the outside of it and you're having to act in control. If you take the external direction and find a way to internalize that direction that forces, feels, or moves you,
right?
Well, then now you're not having to check in with that anymore because it found a home and it resonated correctly, versus that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
That's the problem. You're doing a physicality that doesn't make sense. Find the thing that makes sense of it, then the physicality comes out naturally.
And maybe it's also, we're living in a system where people, there's somebody who tells you to do something, and once you executed that, you get money. Oh, you get your reward. So your brain constantly gets trained to obey and just execute. But when it comes down to acting, it's not so much that you have to execute it. But against the 9-to-5 job at the office, he doesn't tell you exactly when to do it. So you know what to do. Now, build up the momentum inside of yourself in order that thing that the director has told you makes sense to you. Don't just execute it right away because he told you so. Create that fertile ground where actually that direction could blossom up with that thing.
It's funny. I use the drinking water example usually when I'm starting that lesson. Is like, all right, so they said you need to be over here in the scene.
Right.
Because the DP said there's better light.
Yes. And
there's better light over here.
Want to move the kid.
And look like lazy, right? So it's like, okay, so I need to be over there. So I'll just slowly walk over while I'm saying these lines, which is weird.
Yes.
But if there was a glass of water in that general vicinity and you happen to be thirsty during the scene, well, we just made sense of it without anything more than going, by the way, you're thirsty. Oh, great. Okay. Made that easy. again, from the director point, because I love working with directors as well, because it helps them and figure out a way to give an actor an internal move without having to give that external thing, because automatically they want to please you. You're gonna get an external, emotionless, intentless move that just looks weird, that you're gonna cut to some random hand moving and then come back to their face later.
That's why I love to be a coach on set also, because you kind of get this conduit. You become this kind of translator. The director's like, I need this. Okay. And then you go, there's like, listen, just this way. Don't you think your character could be thirsty? Like feeling the attraction of water in that scene could pull you to that corner. What you say? Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you so much. You get back. Okay. He's going to move.
Excuse me. I'm going to go act like I don't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of helps me also a lot to get better as an actor also, because I realize sometimes sometimes you just have to, and it's important what you feel. It's important what you've constructed, what you've prepared. By all means, you are that and believe that. But hey, it's, filmmaking, video making, it's coming down to a group of people. And that's, complicated, but also beautiful. Everybody has his interests, his currents, the things he believes in. Everybody shares a different view on spirituality. So it's not about pleasing them, but take everything inside what you can use, and once you got it, close the locks and don't let it boom and go for it, and discard everything that you can use of what's useless. And
it's like you're always going to have external forces. That's what being human is, right? We consistently have an external force affecting us one way or the other, or at least trying to. So no matter what, I don't care if you've got all the character figured out. I could literally drop a wrench right there and everything's fucked. So there's always going to be something implementing these little bitty things. That one change doesn't affect the overall of this human being truthful nature, because we're all on that same level. We're all on the same frequency of trying to search for that truth that we're giving within our work. So if we're all working towards it, what is the thing that they just told you that makes sense? What version of what they told you makes sense? Because I don't have to I can hear what they said, but it doesn't mean it makes sense to me. I need to translate that into my Deanisms, right? That gives me something to embody more.
Right.
It was funny. So one time I was on set, and the actors I was working with, I don't remember exactly what the scene entailed. I just remember the director going, "Look, some good old spam call. I don't know how to say this to her, but I need her to be stronger and like just going at it right now. I feel like she's a little girly with it, and I don't know how to translate that." I'm like, okay, give me a second. Walked over and I'm like, "So I want you to do this scene like you have this humongous dick, and every time you walk, you have to drag it. Like that's how huge this thing is, and the balls are just following behind. You are you have to walk with your shoulders back. It's so big." And as soon as she entered this scene like this, okay, blah, 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 and he's just going, like, I'll tell you what happened later. I gave your beautiful lead a huge dick and balls, and she killed it. It's, what works. What it doesn't. Yeah. We always want to try to find the easy, nice way, when sometimes it's like there is an easy way, but it may not be nice. Let's figure out what the real thing is.
And I think also that is true for spirituality. As much as I love it and I practice it, I love my yoga workouts. I love meditating. And sometimes it's also very helpful to not taking everything too seriously, and also making fun of myself. And I follow a bunch of people out there also digitally that I really admire, and they are also spiritual leaders, great person. But sometimes I have to make fun of them.
We probably follow the same ones, but go ahead.
Could be, yeah. And I think that's also, laugh. Don't take it too seriously.
Absolutely.
Include humor into this whole thing. It's truly important to, I think, believe into something, to have rituals, to have a practice for yourself, to really, kind of,
because you're going to, right?
You're going
no matter what, you're gonna have habits. It just depends if you chose them or not.
Right. It's more fun. So, but if you don't, that's all good by all means as well. But
they all do. It may not be positive habits, but they all have habits, and that's the thing.
So have fun, but with the process, and sometimes it's also good to be silly and let it out and make it stupid and oversketch it and screw it up and then come back and then say, okay, I needed that cheat time.
Yeah. So my coach, Aaron, was on set coaching Will Smith and he's coached him since, I think he was his first coach and still coaches him, but he was coaching him on I Am Legend, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one of the humongous setups, like probably $2 million per fucking take, right?
Right.
So, and Will's freaking out over whatever it was. And my coach goes, okay, totally get it. Fuck this scene up. Ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah, ruin it. Just go out there and fuck it up. The $2 million take that I'm worried about screwing up, you want me to go on purpose, fuck it up? He goes, absolutely.
Yes.
And everyone cracked up laughing. It's Will Smith. Don't do this, other actors. Don't do this. This is just for people like Will Smith.
You have to understand.
Yeah, because there's some different rules depending on this hierarchy, right? And that's, understanding the business of this will get you so much further. Because I don't care how brilliant you are. Some of the most brilliant actors are sitting at home twiddling their thumbs because they didn't understand the other side of it. And you have to look at all of it because it is what it is. There's a hierarchy to what we do. It's name first.
It works this way.
Yeah. And it's name first, money second, relationship, and then maybe physicality if you look right, and then if you're talented still.
Oh yeah, that
perfect.
Helps. Yeah.
Perfect. But I mean, the talent still has to be there, so don't get me wrong. Stay training, stay studying, but at the end of the day, there's so many things in front of you that depend whether you get that role that has nothing to do with your work. So give yourself a fucking break.
Right. Don't take yourself so seriously.
No.
That you screwed it up, that you had your wrong day, your bad day. It was all your fault. You don't know on what base they're judging. There are a bunch of people deciding over a movie and it's getting, the group of people deciding, whether you get booked for a role or not gets bigger, with the budget. So the higher the budget, the more people are involved in decision making. So sometimes it's just a flaw of the day. Sometimes it's,
I've lost roles for so many random things. I one time had, oh crap, I forgot about that phone call. I'll call them later. I one time forgot about, not the phone call. What was I about to tell you?
That you didn't get a role for.
Yeah, I one time got a phone call from a friend of mine and she was like, hey, I'm like, what's up? I want to call and apologize. For what? What are you talking about? Well, you were up for that lead role and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm dating the director and I might have said, oh, Deanie baby, when you came on screen. Why? Why would you do that? She's like, well, I love you to death. And I know I mean it like a brother, but I don't know if he took it that way. And I'm like, cool.
Okay.
There goes that.
I'm just going to move to Tijuana for the next 6 months. It's all good. Don't worry.
Interesting things.
Yeah, but I truly believe that it's no blah blah because we're on YouTube or anything. I truly believe that you get and book the roles that you are supposed to book and to get 90.9% of all the times. You get the jobs that you're supposed to get. Don't worry too much. It's a marathon. Being out there in the entertainment business is a marathon. Of course, there are some overnight, but even overnight success.
Sure.
We really like. On a granular level, if you look at it, it's hard work in the process. It takes 10 years.
What, 7 years? Yeah, 7 to 10 years overnight success.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So
well,
true.
And if you think about it, I always say was as the actor going out all the time, when you can show a casting director your actual truth, that thing you brought that's yours, then they know where to put you versus every time you get a role, you try to become the role. And this casting director has seen you 4 to 5 times and never felt like it was truthful enough to be you. Right. So they don't know where to put you. They're like, oh, he's talented, but I don't know where.
I 100% agree. Absolutely. If you let them know who you are, finally, they can also kind of aggregate you to a certain style, to a certain field, to a certain compound where they know you will feel comfortable. If you don't show them who you are, they don't really, sometimes people have the wrong idea that those people behind the camera, the casting directors, that they are your enemy, that they are your, you know, that you're their opposition. Before they are not your oppositional force.
No.
They want you to make money. They want you to be rich and famous. Just give them.
They want to look good.
They want to look good. They want to pass you
sit
on.
A good actor.
They get a shoulder clap and a big check that says, "Thank you for passing me on, Dean Bash."
Yeah.
He kind of rocked our show, right? He was
Absolutely.
awesome. And
yeah, and I think that's one of those things is like, you know, we get so caught up in thinking that like, oh, well, you know, I got to do exactly what they want because the cast director knows what they want, the director knows what they want, the producer knows what they want.
Sometimes they don't.
No clue.
Right.
And no clue.
Convince them that after they saw you, now they know what they want. If you blew them away, they know what they want.
Yeah, and they'll change it. The film I'm about to do.
Everything. They will change everything.
Yeah. No one, you know, even if the scriptwriter had in there, you know, this brunette, blah, 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 you showed up and all of a sudden, holy hell, it's a blonde. Okay. That's what this is now. They don't know.
It's hard to do any projections right now to create any outlook for what's coming up in 2020. But let's say this crisis is going to be over soon. What are your future plans? Besides, I mean, you have family and everything, and it's beautiful. Sure. But what you aiming at?
So my end goal, most likely, I'll probably end up setting up a little bit bigger of a studio here in New Orleans. One, because I think they've reached a point that they need it. Mm-hmm. So when I first moved back, literally Louisiana was known where the place where films go to die. That was what they used to say. So I'm like, oh, okay,
that's great,
cool. So when I first moved back, I kind of set up the same style of studio that my coach had set up for me because it was wonderful to be able to go somewhere 5-6 days a week to continue learning, training, observing, being with those, you know, getting in the frequency of that everyone else is in. Because again, the more I'm around it, the more it rises, right? So I want to open back a studio that can also run without me to an extent, and I can come in and do master classes, etc. But I want a studio that yeah, I want them to be able to come here and have 5 days a week where they're paying for 1 day a week, but they get to go sit in all these master class, the advanced class, the whatever it is for free because
that's very,
oh my God, that's where I learned so much. And this you'll probably find this as well. When I'm coaching someone and I say, hey, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Defense mechanism.
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
Really? You just blinked 45 times in 12 seconds. Trust me, you're doing it.
Right.
No, I'm not. That's the video. You're doing it right now. Look at it. Versus if I'm talking to someone that's sitting in front of a class and you're not in front of the class, you're accepting. You're going, oh man, that's what I do. Ooh, I see where they did. I do that. And I found for me, I learned so much observing because nothing was directed at me. It's kind of the same as like, you know, there's obviously, you know this, but we don't go directly to camera when we're reading. And we don't go directly to a producer or a director in the room for callbacks. We put it somewhere else because how am I supposed to be an observer when you're looking at me the whole time?
Right. It's kind of,
you can't.
Right.
You just can't. And the director doesn't want to be pulled into it. He wants to be able to see it with you as you're in it. But I can't watch you be in it if you're using me that I'm supposed to be in it because it's awkward for you to stare at me or do that thing. So I find the same when it comes to scene work or me giving you direction or talking to you about something that, you know, may feel like we're fixing something or correcting something because everyone thinks they're being corrected. At the end of the day, no, we're just finding a different level of truth or a deeper level of truth.
Yeah.
Have you missed a piece of information? If we put that one little key back in, all of a sudden the whole thing just rolls with it, right? The wave continues. And I think that's something that's so helpful for actors is to be able to watch and observe within a class because you take it so much faster. So that's why I kind of want to set up that thing again. And then I'm going to continue writing and producing and stuff like that. I've got a bunch of films that I want to kind of get out there. And I'm, you know, it's hard.
Can you give us a little peek?
So I have a couple different things that I'm working on. One is kind of in that spiritual world where there's basically, see if I can give this out without giving away. At the end of the day, when you walk away from this film, I want everyone to realize that God, source, entity, whatever, was so smart and knew that we as humans were so arrogantly egoic that he had to create a different color of every enlightened human being on this planet so that we could be okay with following it.
No, that's interesting.
Right? So at the end of it, you realize that this Buddha, Gandhi, Jesus, all of this is all brothers of sisters of this same entity and source.
Many
so that we could
for one core manifestation, actually. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the thing. It's can we, and that's why I feel like a lot of times that religious doctrine kind of gets us so ingrained in the us versus them, because well, they don't do that. Well, they only do this.
I lived in Rome for 7 years, and I observed. I was living close to St. Peter's Basilica, and after a while, you realize that it's a place of a lot of power, right? It kind of radiates. You kind of can physically perceive it. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and also kind of scary. And all these domes, all these churches, all these bells, all the time, and so. If they
would constant reminder,
right? Of course, come to me. I'm watching you, right? It's time to come back. You know, it's the bell, and yeah, it's if you pray, if you believe, if you have a ritual that is sane, that is genuine, and that has a healthy,
or insane but genuine.
Yeah, right. Healthy. Let's say healthy.
Healthy, yes.
Then of course it resonates to the people surrounding us. And like you said in the beginning, it's kind of weird that based on where you are born, you believe in a different entity, but in the
and will kill over it.
And will kill over it and will dispute over it. But sometimes it happens from one village to the other in the same country, sometimes in one from one neighborhood in the other in the same city. So spirituality can definitely show us that if we are just admitting to ourselves that in the end, what is it that we all want? To be healthy, to have friends, to have a job, to, kind of pursue our passions, to have a practice, a habit, to have a hobby, to have a little family. We are not different. Yeah. And we just, once we embrace the different manifestations and admire them and learn from them and kind of also take something out of their system and, implement it in our system and see, wow, this is great. This works for me. Definitely. Maybe I can give him something that will work for his system, that will work for his environment, his organism. Then we can all get richer through the experience instead of being divided by it. Because
could you imagine if we all came together with all of our interesting, cool, new ways to approach this world? Well, and I mean, obviously this is a whole nother conversation in the US because we have so much crap and laws in place that stop creativity and, hold back advancements, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to go into that. We don't have that kind of time. But yes, and what you were saying earlier when you were saying that finding that humor within spirituality, I find that the more enlightened a human being is, the more they stay in that thing, that humor. Because let's get real. Life's over. That's it. The smallest blink. And if you've gotten to the point that you understand this totality of what this is connected with source, and I'm a piece living this experience throughout the same full thing, where all this one entity enjoying itself, right? When you get to that level and realize, hold on, I just had a 20-minute argument over you not putting cheese on my sandwich.
I really have time for something like that? Wow.
If you can't, I think the more enlightened, the more humor you find, because you realize at the end of the day, this doesn't matter. Sorry.
I practice Wing Chun. And
me too. Are you joking?
No, really? You too, Wing Chun?
I'm sending you a video when we get off. I built a Wing Chun dummy myself that is like movable spring-loaded hands.
Unfortunately, here I don't have enough space. My wife is already like, no, I know when we move to this place, you're gonna have your Wing Chun dummy somewhere. It's like, yes.
She's probably like, oh God, you guys never should talk again.
No, let's stop this right now. So yeah, and the elderly masters. Like if you look at Oriental Buddha statues, like look at Roman, Catholic statues of saints. They're never smiling. They're always grim. They're always severe. They're always stiff. Look at the
disapprovement.
Right. They judge you. It's the watcher, right? And if you go to the Oriental aspect of the God manifestation, those statues, they usually smile.
Mm-hmm.
They have this very light, beautiful grin on their face. They know in the end, like, yeah, I can be part of something great. I can't though understand everything out of it, and maybe it's also better I won't. But I'm grateful to be part of this um, discovery, of this travel, of this adventure. But then again, like sometimes I need also to relax, and sometimes to smile and not take because that, where the conflict that is actually unhealthy starts.
Yeah. If we're talking about, metaphysics and vibrationals, then if you're constantly stuck into that negative mind frame and feeling and constantly putting it out, where there's no off button for your connection to source. Like, it's not like you automatically just stop asking for shit just because you started thinking negative. Oh no, you're still asking. And you keep saying, well, I keep trying to get blah, blah, blah. And I keep saying, yeah, but you keep going back to that. You don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what religion, which standpoint, they all go back to that same basics of understanding of life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it? Ask for it. Mm-hmm. Accept that you have it and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Do what action gives you to get it. But as soon as you start going into the lack thereof, we're pushing it back. We're pushing and pushing.
Yes. And I think
so. It's kind of the way of back to your what I've been working on a book for a while, and it always gets pulled back from work, all work and everything else. But the book is kind of looking at kind of this this vibrational world of like The Secret and all this stuff that we're kind of all more understanding, every day we go through life.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out what I want to name it, whether it's, acting for God or God for acting. But basically, if you think about what we do as a living, right? We go in.
Title for you right there.
Ooh, all right. I want to hear that.
God is an actor.
God, the actor.
God, the actor. That's even yes, very good.
So I have a couple different ways of doing it. I thought about doing, if you open the book from this angle, it trains you from an actor POV. If you open it from this point of view, it trains you as a human perspective, but understanding acting. Because basically, if you think about what we do, we go in, we create circumstances that allow us to have inner monologues, that allow us to live truthfully in these moments without questioning. What is the difference of what you were trying to do as a human being to change your daily perspective of life so that you can expect, gain, and get what you ask for?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's. What do you see you in a perfect world a year from now? Great. Let's create that character. Let's work on that character. Now, embody that character every day you wake up, because you have no choice but to end up upon that path. You have no choice but that inner monologue to play you through. So it's kind of acting so that you can approach life.
Work in this way? Would you start like a big and important monologue? Would you approach it in this way? Let's say for
we could, and for me, it's kind of like, so one of the things I'll do is, everyone has kind of a basic character breakdown that we kind of run through with questions, right? Who am I? Where was I? Who's my parents? What religious background? What are my sexual background? Monetary? All that shenanigans. I kind of do a version of that, but I don't let you start on a character. We start on you. You fill this out as you are the character, because we're all playing some version of what we think needs to be shown. So fill this out based on you as the character. Let's talk about who that is first and where these things came from that you're holding on to and you won't fucking let go of and you fight for, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the conversation you have most is like,
West, you're a smart guy.
Oh, thanks.
No, you are. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's very, that's very smart. It's a super intelligent approach. And I think it takes the fear of the game and puts more steam into the action. It's beautiful.
And I think that's a way for us to, again, like I will do one of the meditations I'll do in class, and you can take this one. We'll run through a quick little, body scan of just being the awareness of, where the energy's at, blah, 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 which I'm going to post one probably the next couple of days. And I'm going to do a live meditation, one to give everybody a trip out of their homes for a little while. And then the second one is probably, I'm going to do this, but what I'll do is kind of create the headspace and recreate the room where you were, what you were doing, what you were wearing, what they were wearing. And we remember that moment that at some point, because every actor did this, had someone say, look, I got to be honest, this acting shit, not going to happen. You probably should quit. I don't even think you're pretty enough to do this. And it's really hard. You should do something else. Right? Everyone has some version of that happened to
At a
them.
certain point, yes.
So I put you there in that meditation. And then once we've played that thing out and we heard what they said, we remember it, we're there, we are literally, I have students cry through this sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As they get there,
right,
we then change the story.
Yes.
That person's now telling you they love you. They're telling you how badass you are. They're telling you that you can do whatever the fuck you want because you are so fucking amazing, and they do nothing but support you. Though we don't get to see each other that often anymore, I want you to know that no matter what you do, I am so goddamn proud of you, and I want you to have everything you want. Then we take that same idea that we did as an actor and we approach life with a whole nother level. We just fix that broken piece that has been fucking me up for years, right? And now we have this reattachment to that person that we have spent so much time hating. We spent so much time getting in that memory loop of you asshole.
And investing so much energy and keeping it back from our mama mia.
And we push and we push and we push. And all that does is strengthen their push.
Right.
Well, your memory of their push. Because you're now the director of that whole scene. And you're the one that keeps bringing it back. That's not their fault anymore. They've probably moved on.
And like in Wing Chun, you can use that force for your momentum instead of pushing your momentum against that force, because that doesn't make any sense.
So since you're a martial artist,
right?
When I coach, martial artists, or if I coach stuntmen, my conversation is usually about the philosophy of what we're doing first, because I think that's where most of us are skewed, right? We think of acting as, oh, I have to play, I perform, I have to be on stage. We think of state, we think of the acting of it. And which means we all want to act. And it's like, no. I don't know where you just went, but come back. Don't let that moment before take you into some other world when I need you to stay here.
Right.
That's where your truth is.
Critical mass that you need to ignite the fuse.
Right. So when I talk to martial artists, I say, if I went to punch you right now, what would you do? I don't know. If you punched me with your right, I'd probably block you. Okay. And if I punched you with my left, I'd probably parry and block you again. Okay. And if it's, we'll talk in Wing Chun terms. So if we squared off and actually, no, leave that alone because we'll lose that. So when in the middle of this,
Captain Sinner's like,
yeah, this is what he meant. In the middle of the fight, where was your mind? My mind was focused on the other person, and my observation was connected to their source of some level, so that I could feel or predict what was about to happen just enough time for me to react accordingly, which I'm not thinking. I was given these tools, and the rest of that flow, everything goes with. So I can't think while I'm fighting someone. Funny, isn't it? When you're in a scene, you had tools. You got a crap ton of dialogue that I always say is jumbled in this huge box above me.
Right.
And in the middle of this, me fighting you, when you threw that thing, this word came, and I pushed back with it. When you sent this word came, and I pulled through with it. So it's a constant, again, it's a fight to some level. If you can get in the martial artist mind of going, I am not in the thought of it, or as Bruce Lee said, when I point at the moon, do not stare at my finger, or you will miss all this heavenly glory. Right? That's the thing. That is that objective that we are now after.
I saw him for a second, and he was there, man. Thank you.
Oh, man. My dad was a huge Bruce Lee fan. So I grew up.
Nice.
I grew up with Bruce Lee being one of my heroes, and obviously the level that he is philosophy and acting and everything mixed in, just whole nother world for me.
Right.
It's another level. But yeah, so when I talk with martial artists, I usually kind of approach in that way, or dancers. In reality, we're all connecting to the flow.
Yeah, we are also using some chi sao sometimes to warm up regular actors that don't have any idea of martial arts or any techniques or anything. And then what I kind of do as a variation of it, I let them go down. I let them go down in a regular squat while they're chi saoing, while reproducing the lines, right? And then we go up and we go down and we chi saoing. And at some point I leave everything, and then you can literally see the energetic aura now finally being stable without any big cracks. Now it makes all sense. After a couple of minutes, everything is loose, and he's transmitting. And I can
It's
see it
great
in
to
his
know.
eyes. It's like he's happy. He's enjoying himself. And how did you do that? It's like, you did it. You just
It's
let it.
great to know that I am not the only weird one.
No, you're not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. So tell our audience, tell our community how we can find you. Run us through.
Sure. At the DW Acting Studio on Instagram or at the Dean West. And then I have a YouTube channel that I need to start paying attention to. We'll get there.
Absolutely, my friend.
We'll get there. Yeah, and then just thedeanwest.com. I try to keep that as updated as possible. And when I do classes, workshops, online, whatever version I do, that's where you can usually kind of find the information. And you can, if nothing else, sign up for the little list there. Mm-hmm. Say again?
You're based in New Orleans.
I'm based in New Orleans. I travel a lot, just depending on work. So it's either, a lot of times Atlanta or Los Angeles, just depending on what's going on at the time.
Sure. Super.
Yeah.
Super cool. What do you predict when we get out of this? What's gonna be the key to restart? Because I said a lot of people, like right now, sitting at home is like, oh no, and just accepting the situation. Like right now is the time to invest. Because when doors are going to be open again, you want to be one of the first to start, to be fully ready. Correct. And have your armor put on, and not just going to the locker room and put it on. Oh, I gained some weight in the last 6 weeks, and then realizing that you have to work. Right. What would be your key advice to start this year after we kind of open doors again?
So two things. One, I would say sit and do that little bit of a meditation, whatever that means to you. Clear your mind. I don't care if that's playing with your dog. And allow yourself to think about who that badass version of you is next year, and start waking up every day to do what they do. Because if you tell me you want to be a working actor, but you don't treat every day like you're a working actor, right? Sorry, it's not just going to show up and say, "Hey, we're ready for you," but take a few weeks to learn and get ready. We'll see you in a few weeks. We'll have it ready for you. That shit doesn't happen. Not really. You have to be ready all the time, no matter what. Yeah. And then second, invest in you. Start creating that YouTube you want to, start creating that Instagram, start building that following, start entertaining people by what you do now, start getting on a daily conversation, whether that even means you just jump on every day as a diary and say, here's what's going on, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on. Because people want to understand and get to know you. And me as an indie producer, I want to find a great actor, but I want to find a great actor that also comes with a little bit of asses in the seats. So if you think of it from that indie point of view, which I also think is probably going to be a big tweak to our industry as we go forward, we're all going to be rewriting these humongous big budget scripts, or they're all, you're only going to be able to do a movie with thousands of people if you have a humongous budget, and you're going to be CGIing everybody in the stands and a bunch of cardboard cutouts and like 4 normal people that you move around. So I think we all have to start thinking of ways that we can be our own studios. How can we create our own thing? I think we all at some level find that thing that really pushes us. For me, it was a little bit of acting, a little bit of spirituality. And I love being able to share this with people, because I feel like I don't look at actors going, I teach this way because I just want you to be a good actor. Because let's get real. Out of the people we coach, 75% of them are never going to continue acting after however long we do this. They probably won't, right? Maybe higher, whatever. But at the end of the day, they're all going to have to be a human. They're all going to have to deal with stress, anxiety, life, influence upon themselves. So I want you to leave after you work with me having an outlook towards life in a way that you can reapproach what you do as being happy. Nothing to do with acting. It just happens to use acting as the tool. Right. So for me, that's what, why this came my soapbox, I guess, to kind of help people where I could via a side door that no one thought was, oh, how did you fuck with me that way?
This is the platform of generosity, YouTube exchange, digital exchange, and this new era that we're going into. I mean, there has been the Industrial Revolution. Sorry for that. So many revolutions we went through, and now our capital is our creativity. We don't, there is no money anymore. Our currency is creativity, is our ideas, our imagination. And the broader that is, and the more filled it is with great ideas and tools, the more we can shine, the further we can go. Yeah. So I think it's one of the greatest opportunities since we can actually think of. It's we are on on the verge of really breaking into something completely new and crazy, and technology helps us to spread our message. And like you said, we should be ready every day, every minute. So exercise, put in this great work, change those attitudes about yourself, realize that there's a market for everybody. There are no excuses anymore. There's a niche for every weird behavior you can possibly think of. I mean, somebody will watch this conversation. I mean, think about that. How crazy must somebody be to watch what we had to say, what we had to exchange? How weird.
What the crazy people are saying.
Is that what the crazy people are saying? So there is a market for everybody. There is a position for everybody. And I think that is not something discouraging. That is something truly helpful to know. Hey, I just have to find my corner. But once I am that cornerstone, foundation can be laid on me. That will be a great building up. This will be my palace. I can welcome people in there. I will make income. I will have my environment under that roof. All that.
And this is the new, this is the new coal industry. This is the new jobs that people didn't have. Now, granted, I don't know what the future holds. I really don't know where internet security and where all this stuff will end up going and what's going on and all that. I mean, that's its own crazy shit show, depending on what side of the aisle you're looking from. Because, for me, the way I look at life is kind of the same way I look at politics and everything else. I want to see what everyone's doing, but I'm really not going to subscribe too heavily to anything specifically unless it really, really resonates. And if you make me feel shitty, I'm not resonating with you. Sorry. I don't want to have anything that brings me into a downer side anytime, even with students. I mean, I think I've only had to do this once or twice, but I've asked students to hey, let me help you find another coach. Because if this doesn't flow, I have no ego to be like, look, doesn't fit, or you are way too much work for me. Peace, man.
Absolutely. And again, people are, and this is something also maybe we can address to our acting community. I feel like when you're going to an audition, you're sitting there and everybody is, and that is kind of unique to the acting environment and community. Like everybody's uptight, everybody's of course focused and concentrated, and that's legitimate because everybody, wants to make a good impression,
Sure.
But once we start to share, once we start to be generous about our tools, we get to know new tools, maybe even better tools than the ones that we used to have, maybe even ones that are more effective, more impactful, that one, compared to the ones that we used to know. So we can get better by sharing, by being generous, by being out there helping each other, and by breaking down those stupid barriers. Like you're saying, it's like, it doesn't really matter which books you're subscribing to which agenda you're subscribing to. In the end, we all have those basic needs. And I strongly believe that creativity can bring us out of and this new way of having those singular brands and personalized brands, and can bring a lot of good stuff out that we all could use.
Yeah, agreed.
Good. We have to talk soon again.
Oh yeah, when we get off, I'll tag you in one of my Wing Chun videos of the little dummy.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to see those. So thank you so much, Dean.
Thank you. I'm glad I made it happen.
That was great. That was great. Let's make this soon happen again. And all the best to you, to your family, to your all endeavors, to your pursuit of happiness. I just wish you the best from the bottom of my heart. It's been really great talking with such a gifted, smart, and generous human being, man. Again, Dean West, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'll say, knowing how similar we seem to be, to your wife, good luck.
Thank you. Why does everybody keep saying that to us? Like,
you know exactly what I mean.
It's like, oh no, you're in for a treat, baby. Oh yes, you are.
My poor wife. I'm like, look, I promise I will start. I literally have to create, or like if I go to pitch her a story, I don't pitch her story. I don't pitch her the idea anymore. I have to literally go write the script and have it all done before I even pitch her anything. She's like, look, I can't listen to 5 different films today. You got to stop. You've got to stop.
It's just,
sorry.
Right. Slip it under the
notebooks. Notebooks of stuff.
I'm married with a script supervisor, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, perfect.
I was like, when does it happen? At which time? And like, which place? Is it the office on the north side of the building? I don't understand.
Babe, you're way more specific than I am. I don't know yet.
What difference? It does a lot of differences. It makes a lot.
Here's all the holes. Well, shit.
Where is the manor left right now? Oh man, that's been a blast. Thank you so much. I hope our community gets a lot of this conversation. If you guys did so, please jump to Dean West's YouTube channel, to his Instagram account. Check him out if you're in the Louisiana area. If you're from New Orleans, check him out. He's a master of his craft. You can absolutely, undoubtedly say so. And he has a lot to give. And this way of interpreting spirituality in such a modern and contemporary way without losing the core message, and also translating it for acting and performance purposes is very unique, and that's what attracted me to your content in the first place. Anyways, I have similar approaches, and we're sharing also martial arts, so I think people, clients, performers, actors, you are in for a treat if you are served by Dean West, so make sure to check him out. Thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much, creative community. See you next time with the next video. Bam. Thank you.